But we touched on this in all seriousness, this idea that there's a battle among Republicans here, how big to make these tax cuts. Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, President MacGuineas says, be careful because they should be paid for. Well, that's the battle royale, though, right? I mean, a lot of these Republicans are saying, if you want a tax cut that's going to make a difference, it's got to be big, 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 big. And forget about paying for it up front because it will pay for itself down the road. You say what?
So two different things there. I do think tax reform should be big as we, structurally as large as we can put together in a package that is paid for. Because the absolute reality is tax cuts do not pay for themselves. They do promote growth, they do grow the economy, but not enough to pay for themselves. And the key is, what really astounded me about that op-ed you referenced, where a bunch of the Trump advisors came out and said, don't pay for any of this, let's just take the easy way out, is it's not just irresponsible, it actually undermines the very purpose of tax reform. Because first and foremost, if you don't pay for a tax cut, it balloons the debt. They have found that tax cuts that aren't paid for are much less pro-growth than ones that are paid for. Broadening the base, which is a great way to actually pay for tax reform, helps promote growth even more. And if what we want, which we should want, is stability to increase our competitiveness in the private sector, you can't have tax cuts that balloon the deficit that might run out.
I mean, the rap against Republicans at the time, they got their big tax cuts, they got a big boom and a jobs boom at that. But that they spent all that money coming into Washington and then some. Is that what you fear? Or even then say that it didn't bring in the revenue that left?
Well, so what I would say is that at the Reagan era, one, growth was already higher than it was now because we didn't face the major demographic challenges we have. Our fiscal situation wasn't nearly as bad as the one we're facing right now. And let's not forget that after President Reagan passed a very big tax cut, he had to go back and put some tax increases in place because they had gone too far. And so we just can't cook the books on this. If we want to grow the economy, tax reform is a really, really important part of that. Paying for tax reform is one of the things that makes it work.
Then what do you think of it? I guess I think I know where you're going to come from on this, but part of this, omnibus package of stimulus, whatever you want to call it, also takes into account a lot more infrastructure spending, maybe up to $2 trillion worth, a lot of which would be paid by a lower rate tax forgiveness. I don't even know what they're going to come up with, but something like that. Couple that with the tax cuts, couple that with corporate tax reform, you're throwing a lot of stimulus that's just going to be unprecedented boom to the economy. What do you think of that?
So, again, there's a good way to do this and a bad way to do that. And people who are focused on politics usually end up in the bad place. But infrastructure spending is a better use of resources than a lot of other ways we currently spend our dollars. Investing in the economy can be useful, but just like with tax reform, it's been shown over and over again that infrastructure spending that's paid for grows the economy more. So if we want a package that reforms the tax code and redirects our spending priorities to things that would be more productive, and we pay for it, not only am I all for it, I think it would be great for the economy.
Well, by that argument, though, Maya, and you're a genius here, but by that argument, we wouldn't be able to ever offer a tax or more spending because we don't have the money to pay for it as things stand.
There's so many ways that we can pay for these things. So just on the tax side, we lose $1.6 trillion a year in tax breaks. You just have to take a share of those. That would pay for a very large tax reform. And on the spending side,
but then you don't have any net bang for the buck, though, right? If you take a lot of tax breaks, so let's say away from the upper income, but you flip it around by lowering their rate, if there's a net wash, I mean, why bother?
So it's bringing those marginal rates that can help promote growth and getting rid of those tax breaks actually undo some of the existing distortions that are in our tax code. They'd allow more allocation, the better allocation of capital. That would help growth. And what the Trump administration has said, it wants to use the dynamic gains from tax reform to help deal with the debt and deficit. That's a great idea. If you use them to offset the costs of your tax cuts, then you're not going to do anything in the debt and deficit. You can't spend that money twice. So I know paying for things is the unpleasant part, but it's part that makes the economy work, and it's what trade-offs and budgeting is about.
You know, you annoy me because you sound like the doctor who says eat right and do the right thing, and I just find that so annoying. All right, Maya, seriously, thank you very much. Good catching up with you.
Thank you.